Hey guys, so this request here, this is SCP-3426 Reckoner. Now, let me tell you something about this request. I have seen this request for months. And every single time I saw it, just based off the cover art, I already knew I wanted to watch it. I wanted to see what it was about. Now, I have been seeing this same request for months. But every single time I sat down to do it, there was always an issue. There was always a problem. Either, I didn't have the time it was going to take me to sit down and actually watch it and get through the whole thing, or something came up and I had to leave, or it just didn't have enough votes to be like up in the top. I remember this one time I was sitting there looking at it, and one video had one more vote than that, so I went with the most votes instead of watching this one. And every single time I have sat there and thought, okay, I'm gonna check it out this time. I'm gonna check it out, tomorrow. I'll see it tonight, and then something happens. On and on where this has been. This has been a very long... Ever since this was first requested back when the request for reaction page was open, I have seen this request. And again, tonight I sat down and I was like, okay, let's check out the list from Ronnie. Let's see what's up. Let's see what's going on. And once again, like yesterday, I had it up on this screen. This is where I watch everything. This is where I put, what I'm going to be checking out that day. I had it up there. The night before that, I had it up there. The night before that, I had it up there. And onwards and onwards and onwards. I have had this single request on my screen to be watched so many times, it's absurd at this point. We're watching it tonight. We are watching it tonight. So... it might not be the most voted for. It's close. It has always been close. It might not be the most voted for. It might not be the newest request. It's not the oldest request. But I'll tell you this, it's the one I have anticipated watching the most. It is the one that I can tell you guys I have tried to view so many times. And now we're going to get into it. And I already think, just based off the amount of anticipation I've had for this thing, I have been really, really wanting to see this one. And it's kind of, I'm waiting for something to happen to stop me from watching it. And nothing's happened yet. I have the time. I have everything. Guys, let's get into this. Oh, by the way, this was requested this time around by Nord1K01. Thank you for the request, bud.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-3426. Object Class: Keter. Special Containment Procedures. Until the nature of SCP-3426 can be definitively ascertained, containment should focus on preventing as many of the theorized conditions for its occurrence as possible. As such, scientific progress into unified physics hypothesis and the creation of infinitely sustainable energy should be heavily impeded. Other areas of social and technological progress that could potentially result in an occurrence of SCP-3426 on Earth must be prevented by any reasonable means currently available. Additional measures may be taken in the event that the collective human race approaches attainment of Type 1 civilization status as defined on the Kardashev scale. Investigation of phenomena.
Pausing. If you don't know what the Kardashev scale is, the Kardashev scale is basically a Type 1 civilization is able to harness the entirety of the potential energy output of the planet, I believe. It's been a while since I looked at the Kardashev scale, but we are not even close to that right now. I don't even remember what percentage we're at this point of being a Type 1 civilization, but we're not even close, guys.
Related to SCP-3426 will take place under Operation Grey Voices. Mechanical probe surveys to a maximum range of 100 light-years will attempt to ascertain the commonality and range of SCP-3426, and manned excursions of post-3426 planets are currently in the planning process. Operation Grey Voices will centralize the relevant collected data and collaborate with other Foundation internal research divisions, including the Memetics and Info Hazards Division, Temporal Anomalies Department, Thaumatological Department, and Biological Containment and Research Division, for the purpose of attaining greater understanding of SCP-3426. Civilian surveys of exoplanets and cosmological imaging projects will be strictly monitored for images or data that show evidence of SCP-3426. Upon discovery, data of SCP-3426 is to be erased or edited as necessary, and amnestics administered to persons involved. Description: SCP-3426 is a phenomenon that is responsible for the total extinction of a technologically and socially advanced planetary civilization. SCP-3426 may be an event, entity, process, object, or concept. To date, there exists no definitive hypothesis on the attributes of the anomaly. However, it is known that the conditions for the manifestation of SCP-3426 are self-consistent and follow an established pattern. It is believed that SCP-3426 manifestation is widespread and possibly universal. A planet that has been affected by SCP-3426 is termed Post-3426. Post-3426 planets and civilizations share a number of common characteristics. The civilization must have achieved a relative degree of global socio-political stability. A limitless or indefinitely sustainable source of worldwide energy is in use, for example, nuclear fusion, hydrogen mining, orbital solar collection, or enhanced geothermal systems. This energy must be widespread and plentiful enough for the civilization to qualify as a Type 1 civilization or higher on the Kardashev scale. A unified scientific theory or model of the universe must have been developed. Space travel is commonplace and is advanced enough to allow for detailed exploration of the local solar system. There exists an organization whose purpose is to catalog and contain as many anomalous phenomena as possible.
The Foundation.
Post-3426 planets display widespread anomalous material corrosion, reality distortion, complete or near-complete corruption of information and information media, and the pervasive presence of visual cognitohazards and abnormalities. Sapient life forms on post-3426 planets appear in two stages based on time since SCP-3426 took place. If it has been 1 year or less since the occurrence of SCP-3426, such organisms appear suspended or frozen in place, lack any consciousness, and display total cell death. In some cases, they may appear translucent or blurred to cameras and to the eye. Afterwards, intelligent life is apparently completely spatially erased, while possessions, information, and structures created as a result of the species remain present, if highly deviated. No physical remains of the species itself exist. Data, items, and artifacts were collected primarily through the mass usage of drones, orbital probes, and imaging sensors deployed onto post-3426 planets. Further information on the exact properties or effects of SCP-3426 has been difficult to recover. Probes that enter the atmosphere of a post-3426 planet quickly deteriorate within 24 hours, becoming affected by the space-time distortion and material corrosion permeating the planet's surface and surroundings. As a result, recovered data on post-3426 planets is extremely limited. Based on data and related analysis from Operation Grey Voices, it is believed that SCP-3426 induces a slow collapse of the consistency of universal constants and stable states within the planet. This collapse weakens force interactions between elementary particles, creates extreme planet-wide ontokinetic and material distortion effects, and gradually prevents any information or conscious thought from being distributed. This process culminates in all matter on the planet reaching a state of catastrophic incoherence, theoretically resulting in the slow erasure of objects, concepts, and life forms originating from it. This phenomenon has been provisionally classed as a ZK lambda-class cosmic fragmentation scenario.
So basically, anytime a species, oh my god, that just raises a whole list of a list of problems. So anytime a species gets to the point where they've really gotten their stuff together, they're starting to really expand, they're starting to really go places, they're starting to acknowledge, they're starting to really get somewhere, something happens and it just completely erases them. That's bull.
While research into SCP-3426 has yielded a vast variety of information regarding its nature and end results, the mechanism by which SCP-3426 acts remains unknown. Addendum 3426 1. Incomplete list of post-3426 planets. At present, Operation Grey Voices has examined all exoplanets within a 75 light-year radius of Earth. From this current exploration area, 16 planets have met the hypothesized conditions required for the occurrence of SCP-3426. All 16 were affected by SCP-3426 either upon discovery or within 5 years of detection.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So, us encountering, having evidence these species existed, caused this to happen to them. Oh my god, okay.
A partial list of post-3426 exoplanets and their characteristics is shown below. Gliese 1214b, post-3426, 2. Traits: ocean planet, hydrogen and helium atmosphere. Dominant life forms were aquatic non-humanoids with primary settlements underneath the ocean. Technologically advanced society organized into strict, unified social hierarchies. Outposts existed both in the atmosphere and in space, used for the purpose of research into local star system. The civilization had no clear leader of governmental system, rather computers dispensed resources distributed according to caste. Post-3426 characteristics. After SCP-3426, Post-3426-2 had approximately half of its water transmuted into deuterium and tritium oxide. Consciousness in all sapient life forms spontaneously stopped. Computers and other data storage devices underwent apparent global information corruption, with only 15% of the civilization's information remaining readable. Water molecules no longer flow. The substance acts as a single, rigid, continuous solid. Notes: none. Kepler 443b, post-3426, 5. Traits: thick atmosphere, strong gravitational field, and cold average temperatures. Dominant life forms had mammalian characteristics such as body hair and live birth, but possessed ectothermic circulation in the same fashion as reptiles. Dominant religion involved the worship of an entity ascribed to the planet's star, which was said to be responsible for continually rebuilding and moving the universe. Post-3426 characteristics. Post-3426-5 experienced a form of catastrophic reality degradation in which the formation of chemical compounds became impossible due to weakening of the electrostatic force. An additional anomalous effect causes all native living organisms to be perceived as two-dimensional, shimmering gray film. This effect is both present in photographs and video from the planet, and physical artifacts collected from it.
This is messed up. This is messed up.
Notes, none. Luton B, post 3426, 10. Traits: rocky planet with Earth-like composition, orbiting a red dwarf, mild, 292 Kelvin temperatures and nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere. Dominant intelligent life was humanoid. The planet had recently survived the effects of a catastrophic nuclear war, which subsequently led to a period of utopian peace and social stability. Primary energy source was obtained through large-scale drilling into planet's mantle. Post-3426 characteristics: all events taking place on post-3426-10 occur in apparent disjointed slow motion. Movement, interaction, and even thought are anomalously decelerated. This deceleration is inconsistent among the surface, with some regions being slower than others. This effect can also manifest as a complete and total stopping of time, with all particle movement in an affected region ceasing. Analysis of the mantle of the planet revealed that it had been transformed to a perfectly smooth, transparent layer of pink glass. Interaction with the pink glass results in malfunction of any nearby electrically powered devices and intense feeling of vertigo. Notes: the dominant life forms inhabiting post-3426-10 appear to communicate in an undocumented Indo-European language with significant similarities to Hittite. The status of this phenomenon as an anomaly is currently under review.
So it either destroys you or turns you into moving at one frame of that.
TRAPPIST-1F, post-3426, 13. Traits: orbits ultra-cool dwarf star, rocky Earth-like composition with large high-pressure water vapor envelope covering planet. Similarly to Earth, planetary society consisted of a multitude of separated geopolitical states, coexisting in a roughly capitalist system. Analog of the SCP Foundation, notably, was a peacekeeping organization that traded anomalies and used them strategically to prevent wars, research medical and scientific advances, or expose social and economic injustices. Post-3426 characteristics: extreme spatial distortion. Entire regions are displaced from the rest of the surface, while a low static blur is visible across most of the planet. It is unknown whether this is a visual or ontokinetic effect. On occasion, a sudden tear in the space-time continuum within the planet's atmosphere is detected, followed by the appearance of black mist. This mist will usually move towards an unconscious sentient life form or data storage device and enter it. Once this has been completed, it becomes impossible for any being to comprehend any concepts related to or contained in the affected object. This has made data gathering from post-3426-13 extremely difficult.
Yeah, no kidding.
Notes: all containment sites operated by post-3426-13's SCP Foundation analog have been replaced by large spheres of total darkness. Mechanical probes entering these regions of total darkness experience an unusual form of breakdown. See Addendum 3426-3. Addendum 3426-2. Recovered data and artifacts list. Rough translations of recovered data were provided by the Linguistics Department under request by Operation Grey Voices. Translations are not guaranteed to be accurate. Item source: computer terminal drive on space station orbiting post-3426-2. We are on the verge of finally discovering it. Equation for everything. The mathematics is working perfectly. Too perfectly, perhaps, for me to remain comfortable with this experiment much longer. Natural laws, behaviors, and forces. I cannot help but fear what these findings imply. I cannot keep this secret. This conclusion is something that affects everything, not just on the planet, everywhere. That exists. We are and as I stare further and further into the sand grains that make this world, I am further convinced that they are built out of mist and magic.
Huh.
Item source: Emergency message found playing on repeat in all structures in post-3426. 2.
Attention. Worldwide informational, physical, and chemical hazards. Please remain calm and take note of the following precautions to ensure your safety. Once this message completes, shut off all electric devices you currently possess. Close all openings or viewings from outside the building you are currently in. If you are not currently inside an enclosed building, seek shelter in one immediately. Cover up or illuminate all sources of darkness in your location of shelter. Destroy any reflective surfaces in your location of shelter. Destroy any transparent surfaces in your location of shelter. If you begin witnessing bizarre, disturbing, or unsettling effects occurring in your location of shelter, do not report or point them out to any other person. Doing so will allow to spread. When you begin to hear the screaming in your mind, move to a room or place where you can be alone. Darken the room completely. This will allow the fading to happen most quickly. Bring any possessions of sentimental value with you. The screams will become overpowering. Do not panic. Focus on a memory of great intensity to you, and be silent until you do not exist. If at any point you feel that you cannot continue, remember that a society-issued weapon should be available in every facility. Your death will be quick and painless. This message will continue until nothing is left to hear it. This message will continue until nothing is left to hear it.
Keep calm and die quietly. Oh my god, no.
Item source: a native plant from post-3426. 5. As far as can be ascertained, the plant is approximately 0.5 meters tall and is most likely a flowering plant. This plant was common across post-3426-5's ground and was pollinated by many active fauna on post-3426-5. Within the first 15 minutes of viewing, the object is perceived by all intelligent life as a plant-shaped mass of static. This static appears two-dimensional from all sides, despite existing in a three-dimensional space. Extended observation of the static tends to cause discomfort in all observers. After 15 minutes have passed, the plant is no longer able to be perceived by the observer. The observer's memories of the plant are immediately retained, but physical viewing of the plant's location presents itself as the object itself was not present. Testers could describe an unknown object perfectly, even if it was presumably obscured by the plant. This effect changes after 2 to 3 days have passed. All people who are affected by the property that prevents perception of the plant begin to see the plant as a miscellaneous flower that the observer attaches emotional value or meaning to. The flower type that is perceived varies greatly from person to person. Foundation artificial intelligence constructs, upon being presented with the plant, appear to perceive it as a random pattern of shapes and colors. The reason for this effect is undetermined. Item source: official internal statement from the SCP Foundation equivalent from post-3426. 10.
I am so glad I finally got around to watching this one, you guys. I am so glad. I am a massive science fiction guy when it comes down to it, and something like this is sci-fi horror that I can just get behind. I'm just saying.
To all that remain, we, the Conclave of Six, reveal our words to you today, because self-signing will soon cease to exist. And it must come to pass because of our doing. We delved too far, knew too much. We wanted to know secrets which were not meant for the mortals to know. Questions of gods and creators. Questions of the elementary makeup of everything. Now we face the apocalypse. Divine punishment for our transgressions.
Lovely.
We have little left to say. In the coming days you will find that the domain of physical meaning will shatter into a billion pieces. Specifically, this planet will be ravaged. both by a massive upheaval in universal laws that is roughly equivalent to the entire planet becoming a high-intensity hostile matter-affecting anomaly, or as you know it, a Segment M threat RH phenomenon. And by a vast number of incorporeal entities, we believe they're entities, but we're not sure, that will attempt to slowly erase and corrupt all sources of information and knowledge originating from cell signaling. Yes, this includes you. You have two choices. If you stay on cell signaling, your consciousness will be ripped apart from you and leave only a pale image of anything you were. Time and space will blend their twisted forms into each other until everything and nothing happens at once. Every second squished together and lengthened into eternity. Communication and thought will die a slow death. Eventually, everything that originates from our world will collapse into itself and be erased from the universe. The only fragments of our legacy will be warped to be unrecognizable. Alternatively, you can take the preliminary space shuttle we have made out of all the anomalous material we still have left. It will get you far, but not much farther from what we understand. It is the very fabric of the multiverse itself that is coming to blot us out. Long live cell signaling. May its death not be in vain.
Yeah.
Item source. Handwritten note scrawled into the inside back cover of a book on post 3426, 13.
The world is on slow fire. Swarms of bitter void break apart from the sky and attack. I don't think there's time left to escape. I think even if we did, they would follow. I looked upwards, and in a moment, the sky was suddenly black, and the sun was even darker. All filaments and strands of infectious shadows. I don't even know how they got here. Why they chose us. Why? They sent the flying things, signals. I can't recall the names. But as it hit the black barrier, they simply disappeared. We are going away too. Everything I know is fading. I look at the world, and half of the words I use for things have been blocked out by my memory. The computers don't work anymore. When I open this book, the words are replaced by bars of white and black, and that's what they're doing. Don't you see? They are nothing but nothing, and they want to make us unreal, and time and space unreal. As I look out of this window, the top half of the building next to me is disjointed from the bottom half. The people in the window across are frozen. Then they flash and move for an instant and are frozen once more. Every time they move, the color of everything turns red and blue and green in a strobe of terror.
This is just not right.
Reality is coming apart at the seams. My sister is in the house with me. We are trying to keep out of reach of the unreal darkness. She has told me that there is a voice in her head. I asked her what the voice was saying. She said it was only a wailing. It is the end for her then. I will watch as the wailing overpowers her mind, and she forgets everything she is. She will forget she was ever an intelligent being. She will forget all of the world, and all of the past and the present and the future, the little of it we have left. She will then become unregisterable to me in my mind, or to anyone's mind. Her consciousness and her identity will be severed from the rest of our knowledge until she dissolves alone in a universe of one and becomes an object eaten by the all-consuming unreality. She was too young. I hear something in my head. The light.
Level 4, 3426, classified. Addendum 3426, 3, post 3426, 13, exploration log. Exploration log 3426, UA, 13C. The following log depicts the received camera feed of the exploration of the void regions of post 3426, 13, involving the usage of an unmanned drone. This file is limited to personnel level 4 clearance or higher. While neither info hazards nor cognito hazards have yet been detected to be present in this transcription, all personnel viewing this file must undergo a level 2 hazardous meme scan before proceeding. In order to investigate the widespread regions of void present across Post 342613, the SCP's Sternalicht, an unmanned exploration vessel, drops out of FTL in the upper atmosphere of Post 342613. The Sternalicht simultaneously launches a close-range automated drone, SKF-70, with camera feed connected to the main ship. Playing log now. T+127. The drone enters the lower atmosphere and deploys parachute. Drone registers minor surface damage. Later analysis shows that a thin layer of material surrounding the drone had been transformed into balsa wood. Cause of this event is unknown. T+450. The drone lands on the surface of Post 342613. Video feed shows that the sky appears to be phasing in and out, making formations such as clouds, and the sun periodically look transparent. The sky is a pinkish-red color with a dark hue, caused by the low brightness of the red dwarf star TRAPPIST-1. A number of avian life forms appear to be frozen in the sky. T+501. Drone begins movement towards point of target. From its altitude, the camera can see the regional landscape. The area appears to be a coastal grassland plain. Ocean water drifts towards the shoreline in misshapen angular waves. As the waves break onto the beach, they are suddenly turned into what are apparently perfectly cut diamonds. The diamonds fade away seconds after they are deposited on the beach.
What?
Camera pans 180 degrees. A number of vaguely humanoid life forms are frozen in place along the shore, thin white wisps evaporating off their forms. Debris is strewn about the area, and small fires burn in the distance. T+0511. Abruptly, there is a flash on the camera feed that blinds the view momentarily. After a few seconds, the view returns, revealing that the entire sky appears to have lost all color contrast. There is a crackling noise and the color of the sky returns to normal. Drone begins heading towards the target location. T+1408. Drone passes over the planet's surface for approximately 4 kilometers. Video feed notes the appearance of several more anomalous features. Several structures and buildings appear to be completely flattened into the ground, creating two-dimensional images of the structures and their contents on the surface. The drone passes by a number of posters, billboards, and other signage. However, all words and iconography on the signs appear as unreadable black bars. Many of the objects, flora and fauna, on Post 342613 are warped or disjointed in some way, and some are translucent or nearly transparent. T+1735. Drone approaches target. Camera shows a completely dark sphere, completely static, emitting no sound or light. The sphere is roughly estimated to be about a quarter mile in radius. Drone activates several sensors to scan anomaly, including light, sound, sentience, matter scattering, and conceptual identity. All sensors return negative. T+1759. Drone breaches the barrier of the void. T+1836. Camera feed begins to play faint sounds of static. A pristine, non-anomalous planetary landscape is seen. About 50 yards ahead, there is an industrial building with large glass windows and unreadable insignia branded on the front. Door enters an open door on the first floor of the complex. T+1855. Static slightly increases in volume. Drone emerges in a clean, bluish-white office space with large plastic counter on the far side, decorated with potted plants. A sign is hung on the back of the wall behind the counter. Normally, this sign would be illegible or obscured by sensory bars. However, there are words on the sign reading, "Nothing is here, lock yourself inside."
Okay.
T+2140. Drone proceeds down open corridor. To one side, there are large glass windows open to sky. As the drone continues down...
Okay, that was unnecessary because that picture is like... That picture is legitimately giving me the chills hearing this.
On the corridor, the windows appear to grow and shrink in dimension. There is a small object at the end of the corridor which terminates in a dead end. The corridor is not lit well enough for the object to be identified. T+2223. Set onto the floor of the corridor is what is evidently a television set. The television has the same shape and dimensions to match a typical CRT television from the late 1970s. As the drone approaches, it turns on. T+2231. The drone stops despite the control systems from the sternolicht being completely severed. The sound of static on the video feed suddenly increases in volume, nearly drowning out any other noise. The television shows a series of sounds and images, including clips of asteroids floating through space, large networks of massive supercomputers, crowds of people going about their daily activities, the drone itself hovering in front of the television screen, and an endless, brightly lit corridor. These images cycle through each other interspersed with flashes of white light. The cycling becomes faster, and the flashes of light last longer and longer. Faintly visible in the light now are outlines of shapes, amorphous forms that move about the screen. The amorphous forms combine and reform until they create the vague outline of a human head. The human head is looking directly into the drone's camera. T+2457. The drone is suddenly propelled forward towards a collision course with the blank wall. The wall appears to fall away and the drone is pushed forward into an empty white space and begins to fall. T+3457. After exactly 10 minutes of continuous falling, the drone suddenly emerges in the office lobby at the entrance of the building. The lobby is nominally the same in organization, appearance, and features. The sign behind the counter has changed words. It now reads, "Go back to sleep, go back to sleep, go back." Outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, the entire sky has acquired a dull, red glow.
This picture is nerve-wracking. I don't know how he made it like the motion, but the motion is just not, it is nerve-wracking, okay?
T+3709. The camera notes the presence of a new hallway to the other side of the previous hallway that was not present before. As the drone approaches, faint sounds of mechanical operation, such as electrical beeps and running motors, become faintly audible. Just as the drone is about to enter the hallway, the video feed suddenly emits the sound of screaming, and the drone appears again in the center of the office foyer. For approximately 2 hours, the drone continuously attempts to enter the newly made hallway, with the same events occurring each time. T+23232. Over the next 2 hours, the sun sets and night falls. There is a knocking on the windows, but no movement is registered from the outside. The knocking on the windows becomes more and more frantic. From the outside, the stars appear to be blood red. The drone approaches the hallway, and this time is not impeded. The static in the background swells and crackles, and a faint voice can be made out just underneath the interference. The voice says, "The universe is an infinite staircase, but it is shattered. You will shatter it." The drone proceeds down the hallway. T+23815. The hallway is an endless, brightly lit corridor with no exits or side doors. Fluorescent lights are positioned on the ceiling at regular intervals. After a few minutes of travel, it is impossible to tell how far the drone has moved. The featurelessness of the hallway prevents any kind of relative positioning. T+35049. After about 1 hour of travel, the static slowly begins to quiet and is replaced with the growing sound of high-pitched wailing coming from thousands of sources.
Okay.
T+40150. Dark wisps are emitted from the lamps, swarming together and flowing through the air. The audio is interspersed with intense high-frequency sound. When the sound is emitted, the video feed suddenly pixelates and shows random patterns of vivid colors. This pattern continues for a little less than 2 days. T+513704. A subtle change is now added to this pattern of data. Every time a pixelation event occurs, one of the pixels in the camera remains dead, sticking to the camera screen. Over time, the dead pixels fill the entire camera view. T+78-2330. The video feed has now been completely obscured by a variety of dead pixels. The sound of screaming has reached approximately 150 decibels, intense enough to cause rupturing of the eardrums. Shapes appear to form in the dead pixels, as if the pixels were moving through a field or an outline of static. The hallway shape is vaguely visible in the static as the drone continues to move through it, but now visible are hundreds of distorted human figures that stand still in the hallway, extending indefinitely through the corridor, their faces featureless except for eyes and a mouth. T+78-2541. The high-frequency pitches cease. The audio feed is now completely silent. T+78-2548. The swarm of humanoid faces all simultaneously turn towards the drone's camera. The figures disintegrate into black, minute particles. The pixelation effect in the camera clears. The lights in the hallway all go out, leaving the drone in complete darkness.
Well, that sucks.
T+78-2553. The drone activates its searchlight and shines it into the hallway. The hallway begins to spin and reflect in on itself. Different sections of the hallway seem to cross over each other, rotate and reverse until it creates a kaleidoscope-like pattern in place of the original corridor. The hallway splits in half repeatedly into sections, separated by cracks of blinding white light. The hallway then appears to unravel and coil itself around the probe until it has no room left to move. The cracks in the hallway expand, and the light spilling out of it grows brighter. T+78-2636. The camera view switches abruptly to a continuous white field. T+84-1147. Nearly 6 hours later, change is detected in the camera view. The white field begins to gradually fade into total blackness. As this occurs, systems on the drone progressively shut down in sequence, and the probe begins to lose capabilities. T+84-1421. The drone shakes violently as its processing systems completely fail. A dark red flash is briefly seen permeating the camera's view before the feed cuts out. End log. Addendum. The transcription of this camera feed is based on general consensus from a variety of viewers of the drone's camera recordings. The accuracy or reality of this transcription is currently not known. Re-recordings or attempts at computer analysis of this exploration log indicate that all reception ends past timestamp T+1759. Past this point, the recording apparently consists entirely of static. This was a strange SCP. The notion of completely erasing a planet's legacy and identity and memory, that is truly malevolent. Man, I suppose that concludes today's lecture. Thank you for listening, if you still are, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye.
This was as impressive as I was hoping it would be. Once these civilizations got themselves together, they fell apart. I don't know, and it's apparent that they don't know that whatever this is, did it attack them? Is it something that happens naturally to civilizations once they reach a certain point? What happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? Just complete erasure of a civilization. Its entire legacy just gone. This is an absolute horror story. And it's brilliant. The writer of this was absolutely brilliant. This is how you scare. This is how you scare an entire civilization into compliance, because this is how you do it. The erasure of everything. And it just had like the only hint that you have it's coming is the screaming. That is the most disturbing part. I always knew that I wanted to watch this one. This was one of those ones that I always knew I wanted to see. Now that I've seen it, I'm generally unsettled by it. And that's exactly what you want to have happen with SCP sometimes. God, I have got to rank some of these. I have got to do like a top 10 or a top 20 of my favorite SCPs. This one was so... Oh, man. It's not nerve-wracking. It's just like... It's not nerve-wracking. It's not particularly frightening in the traditional sense. But the overwhelming sense of dread I get from this, from these people, when it started to from these civilizations, when it started happening to them, and nobody knew why. All the Volgun's links are going to be in the description down below, guys. So go check him out. That was the first time I've heard him at the end sounding legitimately not quite right. His links are going to be down in the description below, right next to my own. If you guys would like to support the channel, the best way to do that is just leave a comment and a like on the video. And subscribe if you guys haven't already. I'm going to check out more stuff like this. Thank you guys for introducing me to SCP, because I had no idea it existed before you guys. And I'll catch you guys next time. If you'd like to support the channel in other ways, I have a Patreon and merch down below. I'll see you on the next one, because good God, I don't think I can find another one this creepy to do tonight. I'm so glad I finally got to this one.